Hello again, officer. How are me? I am just a gardener. I am working. I have a greenhouse in the yard there. I've been trying to get some work done.
There's discomfort. She stops mid-sentence.
As you probably know, there's a corpse hanging from a tree there. It smells pretty bad, so I have to take breaks.
Don't worry, miss. We are here to clean it up. You can get to work soon.
Thank you. My head is about to explode from all the salts I've had to inhale.
Salts? Ammonium salts. Perhaps useful for later. A sturdy metal door guards the southwest entrance to the apartment building. This could be a way into the apartment building the smoking man vanished into. The door rattles against your knuckles, but there's no response. The door rattles again, but this time you hear an elderly woman's voice calling out from inside.
Stop banging on the door! I'm not letting any more strangers inside. The police? Everyone knows the police don't come round here. No, I already told you. I won't be responsible for any more strangers getting into the building. Go check the backyard door. Maybe someone there will.
Backyard door. With the smoker. You already were there. Didn't work.
Good. We had enough problems with bums and drunks and thieves loitering in the hallway. You have no business here.
You're well versed in the kind of threatening legalese that implies criminal liability, but in fact has no meaning whatsoever. Obviously, look at that vague yet threatening stuff spewing forth from your mouth.
I know my rights, and don't you marm me, boy.
Miss, would it help if we offer to show you our badges?
Hold your horses. I don't care about your stinking badge. Just come in. Give me a moment. The cold never does any good for my bronchitis. I'm fine. Fine. Don't you worry about me.
You're still worried. It's very worrying.
Now, what do you want from me, policeman? Ask away, policeman. The artiste? Nothing I can do about her, I'm afraid. She ruins the walls faster than I can clean them. Still, she leaves an old lady to her business. More than I can say for others.
She mumbles some kind of a response. Then,
I'm no one. Just an old woman who cleans these hallways. If you can call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room. It's barely bigger than a closet. But I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company. And that's all I need from this world.
and all she gets, too. The coastal wind beats down hard on the coal room door outside. Splashes of waves make the balcony slippery.
Oh, you'll find plenty of martins here. Don't you worry. Pea-brain, someone played a trick on you. Martin Martinez is a name for anyone who comes from Martinaise, like Jim Jamrock or Raoul Ravachol.
Oops, you really didn't get the joke there.
I thought it was obvious. Anyway, officer, we don't have the witness's name.
Yes, I know who you mean. The scrawny boy who's always smoking like the devil, right?
Somewhere in the building, a child starts crying. You hear a radio tuned to a talk show and someone taking a shower.
What's he in trouble for? Talk? He lives upstairs in room 28. Go to the balcony. It's one of those doors there. He's usually home in the evening.
Thank you. We should go check out his apartment on the balcony. See?
A shift in temperature, the air chills around you. Dust settles on the stony floor. A former architect stands before a slice of window, a room plan in her hand. A cold wave has made the air in the building stand still and frozen, with temperatures falling down to -20 degrees Celsius. Is red from the cold. She's breathing on her fingers, clasping the plan. Traces of sadness are visible in her expression. Faint pencil lines on paper depict the space, but a missing eastern wall connects the room with the neighboring apartment. Ideas for arranging the furniture have been jotted down. It's clean and empty, with new tapestry embellishing the walls. A standard HB graphite pencil has fallen off a three-legged stool in the middle of the room. You hear some. The walking stops abruptly, but no one comes to the door. You can feel tension on the other side. A poor communard, from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
That isn't just a five-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers. The iconography of communism, in other words. The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mazov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure. Because white is the color of peace, to symbolize the toppling of the old order. Also, some social democrats were already using it. Gone is the glory of hope. Only the scribblings of impoverished students remain in dirty hallways. This door has been closed with a padlock. No reply. It's a solid lump of metal, but the shackle is deeply corroded. A solid pair of chain cutters would make short work of it. Better whip out those cutters. You won't get very far otherwise. This door has been closed with a padlock. The chalk drawer, the shackle snaps like a twig, and the lock falls to the floor with a little thud. It should be possible to enter now.
After you, detective.
A plaster-cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Karamazov.
He's known as the father of scientific communism, also known as Masovianism. His theories about economic history greatly influenced, some would even say sparked, the anti-centennial revolution. Whoever lives here definitely shares your enthusiasm. There aren't many communists around, not after the revolution. Some youth still keep the ideology going, it seems. The white star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting.
A plaster-cast bust.
The piggies have learned how to saunter up staircases. I didn't think you could do that with hooves. But here you are. Yeah, I can see that. Cool mutations.
That smell coming from her paint bucket. It's not paint. It's heavy fuel oil.
Red-dyed heavy fuel oil, intended for exclusive use in government vehicles, to be precise.
What did you think I was using? Aquarels? Sucked it out of a cop's fuel tank myself. Back in Jamrock.
She really did it. She's proud of it too.
You ain't seen nothing yet, Piggy Boo.
The pockets of these new jeans are perfect for sticking your hand into. Makes you look cool, calm, and collected. As your hand enters the pocket, your fingers brush against something soft. Hey, it's a chewing gum wrapper. It reminds you of the fruity juice of apricots. You should inspect it closer if you have time. Something about the wrapper's texture is familiar. This door is made of metal and appears to be reinforced. Number 28. This is where the cleaning lady said the smoker on the balcony lives.
Let's see if anyone's home.
No one answers.
Looks like the young man we are looking for isn't home. I think our best chance to catch him. We should return tomorrow after we have finished with our day's work. How about 9 p.m.? Sound good? Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here. Apartment number 28. Good, let's go.
Damn. Turns out it's quite tricky finding someone in a big apartment building. Don't worry. You'll get him. This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. You have no clue. So many walls all over Martinez. This door, number 2.
Let's see.
No one.
Looks like we should read the smoker on the balcony. This is why we're tomorrow.
Damn. No one. A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good evening, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbor. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Phaeton, my maiden name. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here.
Like steel, there is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview.
I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group. Of course, Detective. Take care. You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter-20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines Group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
Oh, heavens, no. We get along just fine. Yet, now that you mention it, I can't stop imagining that black treacle just dribbling down his double chin. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Have you seen him? Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective? If I may ask. I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers. The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock come to plead for work where the Union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
8 billion?
Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous response. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? There are no minor cogs in the system. Each terminal must be accounted for, lest the entire system break. Every hiccup in such a system means thousands lose their jobs, the world over. I'm here to assure that doesn't happen.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? What? Oh, I am afraid you have misread the situation, Detective. This is not some feudal conflict. It is a negotiation.
And if it were a conflict, the RCM would not pick sides. My colleague's unusual approach to police work does not represent the organization at this time.
Of course. And I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a corrupt verm myself. However, if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious? Take. So, of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois.
Oh. And what happened to it, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge. Of course, but before we do, officers, let me be perfectly clear. The situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
Wow, you work hard. Oh, yes, you hustle. You're a provider. It's tough out there, but you keep it real and provide. Look at yourself. You're a human pedometer. You must have walked 200,000 steps down cracked asphalt, mosaic, sand, and linoleum after you re-emerged. That is the sign of a hustler who never gives up. The world is harsh and people are evil. You didn't make it that way, and you won't let it break you. You ride. That's just what it's like, life and death. But you got gills on your side, baby. Got those black papers with the faces of the innocents on them. You bring in the Franco Negros and the Solas. It ain't easy, but you do it, day in and day out. You didn't make the rules, but you won't lose. You're a cop, and a sprinter, and a money printer. You didn't log that in as a donation either. You don't log any of that shit in. You're a straight rider. Sure. And has it been easy? Is life easy? Have you not gone into cardiac arrest? Are you not about to have an anxiety attack or shoot yourself in the mouth? But you still hustle 24/7, ride or die. Now, ask yourself, are you rich? Get out of here. You're a pauper. You work harder than anyone. Almost rode yourself to the grave, and you're still practically a hobo. Why is that? Boo-hoo. The system is broken. The establishment is keeping me down. That's not the fuck yeah attitude you're used to. What is this? Why are you so poor? That's right. 100%. Fucking G-Man's got his jam-covered sticky fingers in your pocket, stealing from you every time you buy, sell, walk, talk, fart, so much as sneeze. Every time you wipe your ass, they got their direct and their indirect modes of taxation. Sales tax, excise duty, extraction tax, alimony. One tax that doesn't even have a name. Plus there's the stuff people in other countries pay for that makes them ask for more money from you. Here, total tax duties add up to 98% of all your money. What are you not sure about? They're milking your nipples till they bleed. Can't you see? Aren't you sick and tired of having bloody nipples? It's all about the tax issue, hustler. No other problem in the world is as pressing as top marginal tax rates. And don't you fucking forget it.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? I'm afraid I can't say any more until we've taken care of formal protocol.
Feelings will go.
You're back. Good. I'm afraid I can't say any more until...
Feelings.
You're back. Good. What can I help? I'm afraid I can't say any more until we...
She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuates.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge. Though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchmen. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching. I'm sure you will, Detective.
The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bed.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder.
You can revisit the bench, if you ever need to pass the time when Lieutenant Kitsuragi is gone.
A crinkled chewing gum wrapper. The worn label reads, Tutti Frutti. It smells faintly of apricots, with a barely noticeable twinge of cinnamon. Good question. There is no answer or secret phrase written on the inside of the wrapper. Yet you're drawn to it. Drawn by regret. Stop before you hurt yourself with the Tutti Frutti wrapper. Throw it away, please. You carefully fold the wrapper into a square before putting it back into your pocket, lovingly even, despite the strange feeling of regret. It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slide. The slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see, it smells of chewing gum. Exactly like the gum wrapper you found. The same brand of chewing gum. Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card. Looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile. You think, although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Throw it away, please. Your hand shakes holding the card. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always, always, always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on. To what? There's nothing.
Detective, is everything all right?
There is nothing. Again. Nothing sad, brother. No treachery, just blackout. Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia. That's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness, he's grasping for it. Still trying to hold on to the great sorrows slipping in the water.
The call when you're dead, brother.
Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Tell him.
Ah, yes. In the olfactory system, they call it the apricot chewing gum scented one. It's unhealthy of them to linger on it so. It didn't smell nice. It smelled like betrayal.
There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause. Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing.
beautiful. Believe me, stupid ape, its lack of beauty was not the problem.
You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil.
Drink. Water.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself, as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? You were reading your paperwork. Then you passed out. I carried you to my kinema to take you to a hospital. Then you came to. 10 minutes, maybe. That does sometimes happen. You dropped these. Are you okay to proceed? Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill bonuses. Find it under the Tools tab in your inventory.
You're back. Good. What
is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it? Look at that lady. Take a gander. Why, yes. Tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes, a scythe of booze precedes you, your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too... Yes, you should be able to take care of yourself, not grovel at her beautiful feet, dishonoring yourself and your organization with this request.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
I am sorry. It just doesn't come out of your mouth. What does is...
Excuse me? I didn't hear you.
What you meant to say was... It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer in. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move again. Two octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. The words just crossed your mind somehow. Who do you think? It's slightly, ever so slightly, difficult to breathe once you've done so. The drawer is locked. Blue ink drips from the white pages in your hand. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB41. Then, date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB4. Why yes, your precinct number is... Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. No, the alphanumeric begins with HDB. Fine, it takes about half an hour for you to piece one together. Mr. Raphael, which one do you want? Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the cliff.
You're back. Good. What can I...
Is what you want. Look at that lady. A well-kempt, yet tastefully short bob of dark hair. Despite the first hint, positively while dull orange pearls hang. Now look at you. You're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too... Yes.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
I am sorry. It just doesn't come out of your mouth. What does is...
Excuse me? I didn't hear you. Of course. You're back. Good. What
is what you look at? What? While now look at you're poor. Poor, yes.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of
I am sorry.
You're back. Good.
Is what you look what while now look you're poor. Poor as bull. You think your little communism protects you from this feeling? No.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
I am sorry. It just...
You're back. Good.
Is what you... While you're... Yes.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of a... Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me.
She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be that she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on?
That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large.
She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch.
So, I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still.
You're right, ma'am, that donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they are properly logged with the precinct.
Which he most certainly will do. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries? Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cor de Leyte 19, because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word, it, feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness.
Okay. How about Cordeleche 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordeleche, and its hull is 19 paces long. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you for the suggestion. It's a pleasure craft. A 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou. We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial hub.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands. Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
I just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even the other time, I would have finished the race were it not for an urgent work matter, much like the one I'm on now.
Actually, you don't. It is a little-known fact among those who police that the Wayfarer Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license. I was just being polite. Even school children know the Wayfarer Act. Unless it's their passport. No. Do you want to ask for the lady's passport?
Of course.
The woman is silent, smiling while the waves lap against the hull. In your hand, under the plastic, the woman, born in the year 3 in the commune of Revachol, smiles at you, face adorned with frown lines and crow's feet. The photo is recent. The name reads, Rejoice Leighton Messier.
My husband is. I have dual citizenship. A Vespertine is handier when traveling. Yes. But please don't call me that. Joyce is much more efficient.
She doesn't like it. Probably a bad memory. Mean girls at school or some ancient lover. She nods and returns the plastic bag to her coat.
Good. This reality. Ah, yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
She nods slowly.
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad. Though by the end, nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The Zone of Control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-Islary communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... we could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we'd played it right. Why, of course. We're talking Duke Out Central. Full swing, intra-species warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand, those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. I prefer the term risk-averse. King Guillaume was nobody's fool. He could smell a PR disaster brewing, so he got out alive, and his nephew Fricelle got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The Coalition of Nations. Grad. Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. A devout man of the center. Hard to come by. It's good to have someone who takes a moderate approach to head shooting. In your line of work, I mean. Good question. What would you have done differently?
A cold creeps up your spine, its tendrils up your neck, toward the back of your head.
So a quarter of humanity simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlife, with a technology 50 years ago?
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The charge dissipates into the dark water. All is quiet on the Martinez inlet. A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building. A woman's voice.
There is peace in the heart.
Good hygiene. Really. A very moderate solution to an extreme problem. It's those sort of half measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Mazov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know? We're in Martinez, baby. Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm, and unknowable. flowing in and out of sight.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. This place used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its work. The reeds are the real star of the show here now. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory. Beyond patriotism. A fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile-Marat, depending on your creed. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about...
A sparkle of lights on the horizon, like evening stars above the curvature of the planet.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Any...
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We should take care of that, then. I'll also take a room at the Whirling. One cannot get much closer to the crime scene.
He's proud of you for getting your act together and finding a way to pay back what you owe.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? A lot. A lot. For the room, drinks, and broken window, 130 real. Well? Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Another thing. Great. Yes? Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my staff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene. The trash collection service? CS Municipal. I don't see why they would put anything in the trash, though.
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the road.
On Clinton Street, near the Boogie Street Diamond, a small truck rattles down an alleyway. It stops by a rusted trash container. Two men.
Thank you anyway.
I think fugue states are more your forte, officer. Yes?
The worker, isn't it? Perhaps he's on his way to where you just came from, into the primordial darkness. A colorful piece of plastic is dangling from his carab. On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine. exhibits a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John. The worker is in a deep slumber. You fumble with the spring. The worker is in a deep slumber. Your fingers find their way into the shackle, flicking open its spring-loaded gate. The metal loop holds the plastic ID and a leather-bound pocketbook. The man emits a loud snore. Is he about to wake up? Doesn't look like it, but you never know. Better be quick. You find a black paper note with a woman's profile on it. Seems like this woman lived centuries ago. The note said, "Yum yum, money. Think of all the things you can buy with this." The synapses in your brain fire with glee. No, he's looking the other way, perhaps purposefully. You slip the plastic ID card out of the loop and pocket it. The man continues to snore. The sleeping dock worker has little to say about your act. The man does not mind. You probably need...
You've just picked up some magnesium. This item is stored in the bottom left corner of the screen above your character portrait. Use magnesium to heal your morale if you have morale damage.
The worn map features... This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically.
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any... We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. We are permitted to use whatever force we deem necessary, even lethal. Yes. The last time was 4 years ago.
He says it matter-of-factly and moves on. He has internalized it well. It's just that. A fact. A self-contained past event.
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couronne and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. That's an improbability, perhaps even impossibility. Precinct 41 is known for a higher than average rate of police violence. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. Yes, the international community's mission in Revachol, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. It's probably more honest, yes. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will, and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit. Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit below it all.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. The Moralists International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. Okay. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something ominous. Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's a...
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad. But the years have changed that. I don't know what I believe in now. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me. We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Spoken like a revolutionary, not a cop. But hypothetical aside, in Martinez we already are vigilantes. At least the Union thinks so. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging.
The lights of the Orphan District are reflected in his glasses, the red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string, from east to west, as Revachol commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over.
Well, we didn't even look at the body. And there's still much to do at the crime scene too. We didn't search it thoroughly.
He would have put all of this more harshly, but he doesn't want you to feel completely discouraged. Probably because he's afraid that you'll just give up and keep drinking.
It's not my job to evaluate your methodology, officer. I'm just going through the facts. As for the interviews, we conducted an interview with Everard Clare. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. We talked to Joyce Messier, but didn't get any information from her. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice? It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company. not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face. The chain cutters slip out of your hands as you attempt to twist the faucet into place. Well, A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, the faucet is quite terribly mangled. You handle the chain cutters deftly, applying just enough pressure. Told you that you needed those chain cutters. The mirror begins to clear slowly without you having to wipe it. The window stands broken in its frame. You see some lights.
Can I help you? Absolutely out of the question.
You wait and see, cafeteria manager. Absolutely in the question. First we find a sad banger. Then we sing this place to shit.
Do I have a shaker in my hand? Is this a shaker?
He sounds irritated.
Am I wearing a little bow tie? Am I wearing a bow tie and doing... Am I smiling? Do you see me smiling and shaking my little shaker? No. Do you know why? That's right, I'm the cafeteria manager. I'm glad we cleared that. Was there anything else? Even more reason for me not to serve you, sir. Was there anything else you needed, other than alcohol?
You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache. You finally stop picking your nose.
Does Kuno care? Kuno does...
Kuno, the pig's getting pretty close to me. Come to snuff my shit out, I think. Looks like it's time for me to go, Kuno. Pig's come to take me in. I'm going away for a long, long time, Kuno. Going away for life.
What's going on there? fuck are you trying to pull, pig?
You don't want to fuck with me. I got my hands bloody. I'm not here, pig. You're not seeing this.
You can still see the top of her hat. There are several footprints in the mud. Sitting at a desk, Lieutenant Kitsuragi fiddles with a pen, then writes something on the paper in front of him. He shouldn't be doing that. He should be here discussing the footprints.
Trying to sneak up on me again?
This must be it. The basement door is where the leather upholstery is worn and rough against. In fact, it's oddly silent in the yard around you. No birds chirp. You knock silently. You try to be as silent as you can. It takes a bit of rat. Finally, the door unlocks with a small clack. As you hold the open door, you can feel the air moving. This is the flag of Revachol, the suzerainty. This isn't just one sun, but there are little suns dancing around the big sun. It's an optical atmospheric anomaly the first settlers saw. Happens in cold weather. 6 small suns around the big one. This complex halo phenomena is how old Revachol got its flag. The flag accepts your honorable salute with quiet dignity. A row of mugs sits on the shelf. Each one depicts a human figure. A dark-skinned woman grinning amidst mysterious symbols. A broad-shouldered man shoveling a little ring. Though cheerful, the images on the ceramic make the images betray a lack of interest in human beings. They are merely The owner of these mugs doesn't like people of other ethnicities very much. This person is unhappy. Yes, your broken mug friend would feel very much at home here. The same and interesting little clue. Let's see where this goes. Clues have a way of magically connecting to other clues down the road. Perhaps you should break into apartments more often. Who knows? Could be. But this clothes in a trash lead doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. Still, good thing to keep in mind. A row of mugs sits on the shelf, each one